Alright, and welcome back everybody to another New World Between the Streams. Today, we're going to be going over my final thoughts for this here beta. Now, there's been a lot that's gone on throughout the beta. There were some bugs that have been squashed. There were, some server issues on the west coast of the US as well as in Australia. I believe they were adding more servers because of capacity issues. I'm not sure if those have been resolved or not as I play on the east coast, but we haven't had too many issues here. I actually like the capacity increase because it doesn't seem to have hindered the latency or anything like that. There is some FPS issues whenever there's large groups of people in the beginning cities, but as the game progresses, people will spread out all through the map. And speaking of, here's how our current map lies. Some people did opt to take territories during this here open beta. Rather surprised at the number that got taken, but yeah, it's neither here nor there. They're just everybody wants to figure out how fast that they can claim an area. Now my group managed to claim an area pretty quickly over on I think it was like day 2 or 3 of the closed beta, and we pretty much got all that figured out and took it easy this game. I mean, we more or less socialized. I believe I ran the expedition like 6 or 7 times just for fun and socialization and getting to know your teammates and all that fun stuff. Not much has changed. There are some parts of the maps that were slightly altered. Nothing too crazy though. And then you have things like the fishing. There was an issue before where you would cast your line and every bobber that hit the water would just get stuck there. It seems like they've fixed that issue and there's no more crashing bugs or anything like that. There are some new bugs, however, which is unfortunate, but that's what betas are for. Hopefully that'll all be fixed before the launch. Right now, I think one of the biggest complaints is the audio issue, having the audio go completely silent on you and only being able to hear UI effects, which can be a little bit distracting. Not too sure that that's going to be a hard fix. It's something that's going to take a little bit of tweaking. I think some of these bugs are a result of them changing a few things here for the open beta, and it just being a minor issue that once they revert stuff will resolve itself. The only other real game breaking bug that I've seen was there's an occasion where you'll not be able to use your dodge roll, which can be a little bit frustrating because you have to kill your character in order to fix this bug. Logging out doesn't fixing it, teleporting doesn't fixing it. Only your character's death and respawn will solve this issue, as far as I can tell. And that's been in since closed beta. Now again, there's things I'm sure they'll take care of as time progresses. Other than that, everything's been running pretty smoothly. I'm quite excited that they've managed to get as much accomplished as they have, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next for New World. I'm hoping with these minor bugs that even though they are a little bit annoying, that it doesn't cause them to push things back. I'm fairly certain that they won't, only because, well, let's be honest, I think a lot of players are going to be quite perturbed if they do push it back again. As for any balance changes, the healing staff got a little bit of a nerf. I think like as playing a healer, this is my perspective from that. Like, they took away some of the potency for your fortifications and stuff like that, which is fine. I haven't had any issues keeping my teammates alive in any of the dungeons. Now, this is I only made it to the first expedition, obviously, but I did. Oh, there we go. Got an achievement. I didn't have any issues keeping people alive unless they weren't dodging mechanics, and I feel bad when they go down, but at the same time, we're working together here. You gotta do your thing so I can do mine. They've also managed to they changed elite mobs and bosses to have a ton more HP and a ton more defense. So the fights definitely feel like boss fights. Whenever you go in there, you're not just squashing a giant ad. You're actually having to sit there and struggle for several minutes trying to make sure that you're dodging all your mechanics and you have all of your potions and you're not standing in squishy puddles. And I really enjoy the change. I want them to keep that in. They did also make some minor changes to the way that you're dealing with these ads. Some of the mobs in the game and all over the place have been changed to the point where they follow you a lot further. They also have increased aggro range if you're at or below the current level for certain areas. And that change has been felt pretty heavily. There was one area of the map where I had been running around and playing at getting some quests completed with a buddy of mine. And we attacked one mob and had like 13 on us in seconds. You really have to think about what you're doing whenever you go into an area. Like, let's do an example. So there's a million mobs over here. If you're running down this road, you have to take out the very first mob you see, and then the next one, and then the next one. You can't just run into the area and attack a mob and think the rest of them aren't going to come after you, because they absolutely will. It's a lot more strategic whenever you're trying to get quests done as well. Now, if you're high enough level, they don't seem to bother you as much, so you don't have to worry about it too heavily beyond that point. But still, be careful as you're traveling around. Don't get yourself into some bad situations for no reason. Really like having maps that feel dangerous to be in. Like games like Final Fantasy XIV, which I played for years and years and years. After hitting a certain point in the game and getting to max level and then getting all of your gear to be maxed or from dungeons, you end up with this situation where all of the mobs are pretty much pointless. You can run past an area and basically one-shot everything that comes near you. It seems like New World's going for the more be careful because things will destroy you route, which is awesome. As for other changes, it sounded like they changed a lot of PvP stuff. Now, I don't do too much PvP unless I'm in a group. It used to be that the PvP was pretty balanced between players of low level being able to have a fighting chance against higher level players. It seems like that's changed to where if you're a lower level player, even like 5 levels lower, you absolutely get destroyed by anybody higher than you. So I guess it sounds like they've swung the balance from one side to the other, and now they're going to find a nice middle ground, and that'll probably be resolved pretty quickly. I don't see that as a major deal. They're just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. For me, because I don't do the PvP, it's not going to affect me too much unless I'm doing a war. But as it affects all of you, I figured I'd leave that here as well. Now, we do have a few other balance changes. It seems like the marker boards got a little bit of a nerf. It still seems viable. At the lower tier, though, like the starting materials that you're going to be handing in, seem like the nerf is substantial enough to that you're not going to use it as your primary source of leveling anymore. At higher tiers, though, it seems like you can really make some pretty massive progress. And that's awesome. So, I really don't think there's much else for us to go over. Right now, you probably have noticed that there hasn't been very many players running around. This is the last day of beta, and it's really early in the morning, East Coast time, so we're not going to see too many people running around. And I myself didn't play the game much yesterday, only because, well, everything gets wiped here soon. And we'll have a fresh start once the game goes live. I managed to do all of my testing that I wanted to do, in the fact that I got to try out the healing staff and check out the ice gauntlet changes, as well as do my initial run from 1 to 10, so that way I could get a faction. It seems like it's going to be really quick. They did change the XP, so that way you could get to 30 a little bit quicker than you did in the previous beta, and then after that they made it a lot more difficult to get from 30 to 60. So it's a pretty interesting change, but it does allow new players to get caught up a little bit easier, as well as giving the players that are going to stick around and continue to play the game the opportunity to have a little bit of a challenge as they progress, which is great. I'm okay with that change as well. But that's pretty much all I wanted to go over. Basically, make sure that you're going into dungeons with the appropriate group. Try to have one of every class, and then, yeah, be sure that you're ready for launch, because there's going to be a lot we're going to be doing. Don't burn yourself out in the meantime. And, yeah. Anyway, everybody, that's going to do it for me here today. Thank you, everybody, for stopping out. If you manage to stick around this long, feel free to get down in them panels and check out the giveaways. And take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. Stay healthy out there. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.